Brave Maker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Well, hey, everybody, TGIF. It is the weekly Brave Maker Show. It's Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Tony Gaffestone, and I get to be the founder and executive director of Brave Maker. We're a nonprofit. I'm headquartered in Redwood City. I also get to be an actor, a writer, and director, and I love it. And I'm with my fabulous co-host today.
Hey, Tony, what's going on? I also get to be an actor, comic book writer, a singer here in the Bay Area, and I'm coming to you from Dublin, California in the East Bay. And yeah, TGIF, this is fantastic.
I love every time you say Dublin, California. I love that little pause in there. So Christina and I have been working together since February of 2019. It's been really, really fun. Every week feels like it gets better and better. The people we get to talk to and the ideas that we get to banter around. And before we always bring our special guests in, we always ask this one question to start. And wherever you are watching in the world, we always invite you to participate too. The question is, how are you braving your way in your goals this week? Because it's only just one thing at a time that we move our goals forward, right? One thing begets another, momentum. So Christina, how are you braving your way in this entertainment industry this week?
I love how you phrase that, one thing at a time. How very zen of you, which plays right into how I've been braving my way basically since the 1st of January with a lot of self-care. And with that comes a craving for awareness. And with awareness, you want understanding. So I am braving my way this week with educating myself about politics and how our government actually works to be less frustrated and have more impact. And I've done that this week with a fantastic song called My Vote Don't Count by Yellow Pain. It's an amazing song. Really, I think it's perfect for everyone. If you have any, misunderstandings about our government, or just feel like you want to have a stronger grasp on understanding what does it even mean when you vote, like how do you have impact, how do you help steer the country in the direction you want it to go, start with this song, My Vote Don't Count by Yellow Pain. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, how could we not forget? We just have a new president and vice president.
We have a new president. Yeah,
come on.
Celebrating
with Saint Michelle Obama on her candle behind her. That was the best way to brave the way in the industry. I definitely have to say, my girls on my lap watching the inauguration, watching a woman, a person of color, get inaugurated into this national public office was a beautiful moment in history. But I'm braving my way this week. I put on the calendar a table read for my next feature film. So I just finished, I think it's my 5th feature film that I've written, and I'm very proud of it. I just talked with my proofreader today. We're locked and loaded to get the actors together, and I wrote Christina a part. So February 13th is our table read. So that's how I'm braving my way today. That's how we do it, my friends, Brave Makers. One thing at a time. Put it on the schedule, make it happen, do something for yourself, move your goals forward. All right, that's all we got for Braving the Way. But let's bring in our special guest. I'm really excited. You know, this business is all about relationships. It's all about, obviously, talent and good storytelling and creativity, but it's about who you collaborate with. And sometimes those collaborations come like in the shortest notice ever. We had somebody have to break off their commitment to being on the show, just like 24 hours, 48 hours, I don't even know. And in that same with hours, I had gotten connected to the 2 people that are going to be on our show today. So I'm going to welcome writer and director Shaina and actor and writer Nicole to the Brave Maker live show.
Hey guys, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're so excited to be here.
So way to be so like spontaneous. I love that you just cleared your Friday afternoon to make this happen. So I'm going to have you both introduce yourself. And what we also want to be proactive in doing is saying, hey, I'm Tony Gaffestone. My pronouns are he, him. I am a Caucasian man with a scruffy beard and brown hair. And I'm sitting in front of a blue and pink background that says Brave Stories Change the World. You are the story Brave Maker. That's me. I'll turn it over to Nicole, then Shaina, and then Christina.
Sure. Hey guys, my name is Nicole Evans. I'm an actor, writer, and disability rights and inclusion activist. I'm a Caucasian woman. I go by the pronouns she, her, and I have brown hair, sitting in front of a well-lit gray background, if I must say. And I'm ready. Let's do it.
Right on.
Hey everyone, my name is Shaina. My pronouns are she, her, and I am an olive-skinned woman. I'm Indian. I have black hair. I'm wearing a blue sweater, and I'm sitting in front of a white wall with a Leslie Knope poster behind me. Well, it says a quote from Leslie Knope.
Yes, and Christina, you can round it out and ask the first question.
Okay, before I jump in there, I will say Nicole's lighting is more than it's fantastic. It's like the best lighting I've ever seen, Nicole. So yes, I'm an African American woman sitting in front of a faux plant wall covered with monarch butterflies. I'm brown skinned, sitting in a wheel power chair with kind of salt and pepper hair today, dripping in pearls in celebration of what's going on in our country. And yeah, my first question, it's going to be for Nicole. How did you get connected with us? Let's jump in there because this all came together like in the last 24 hours. I'm going to be a fangirl for this because I had no idea I'd be sitting here chatting with Nicole and Shaina today. So how did this all come about?
Yeah, it just happened so quickly. It felt like an hour. I was connected to Tony through our mutual friend, Christine Berg, and your mutual friend as well. Our current Miss Wheelchair California. Woo woo!
Yeah.
And she connected me to Tony via email because she thought maybe there would be some, collaboration we could work on. And I hear that there might be a future panel that I would love to be considered for. And through our email chain, he was just like, hey, I have an open spot on Friday. Could you join us? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And I asked Shaina, I'm like, hey, will you join me too? So, we love to do these types of interviews together. And so it just kind of worked out beautifully. It was meant to be.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited to hear too about your partnership. So why don't you tell us about kind of who you are and what you do and how you've collaborated in the past. Shaina, why don't you go ahead and start that?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a triple threat, right? That's what's written on the Instagram post. I'm a woman, I'm Punjabi, and I'm a wheelchair user. But the reason I joke about it as being a threat is because these aspects of my identity really help me see the world in a different way and give me unique experiences that I want to translate into film. And so I actually started my filmmaking journey at Sacramento State University, was a bit of a rebel, made a documentary about the lack of services on campus for students with disabilities. And that's really how I shifted to filmmaking. And then from there, I went to USC. And I made it my mission to make inclusive content, but also to cast authentically. And so in my hunt for an actress who was a real wheelchair user, I found Nicole Evans, and we became best friends. Like, it was 3 years ago. She turned up early to the audition, and that's how I knew Tony, because I'm one of those people that's very on time, and she was a half hour early, and I'm like, it was like love at first sight, right, Nicole?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that LA traffic, and being super punctual and early for auditions is kind of the actor's way. So I love meeting Shaina. We worked on so many projects together at this point, and I really feel like we work so well together because not only are we artists that both have disabilities, which is super cool, but we just have this great shorthand between us where we just know what each other are thinking.
And tell us about what we are watching right now. So one of your collaborations is on the screen. And if you're listening later after the replay, you're not watching live, we'll put all these links that are found on Shaina's website. But go ahead and tell us about this film that you collaborated on.
Yeah, so I remember seeing like a post about the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge on Facebook. And it was like a month before it was going to happen. And I called Nicole and I was like, Nicole, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens, right? And it's a 72-hour film competition. But we have, thankfully, 5 days to write the script, which I did beforehand. And my producer, bless her heart, read every single draft. I think we had about 14 drafts before we shot it. And then Nicole was on board from the beginning to act in it. And we literally turned her apartment upside down. I should probably let her speak to that more.
It was so awesome. I mean, the whole crew is just, they're like magic. So they came in here, they totally rearranged my apartment and turned it into a laboratory environment within, I swear, it was like 45 minutes. And then we shot the whole day. And then at the end, they put it all back together. It looked exactly the same, almost as if it never happened. And that probably happened in like 20 minutes. I don't know how they did it. But yeah. That working on that project was super cool with Shaina. It was really fun. Easterseals Disability Challenge, and I'm happy to say that I won Best Actor for my performance in this role in 2019.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's quite an honor. It's very cool.
So you guys get to do some very fun things in the work that you're doing. I know, Nicole, you have a production company, but I'm going to back all the way up, and I'm going to pose this question to Nicole first. Where are you from? How were you raised? And how has it uniquely prepared you for the work that you're doing now as producer, actor, writer? You're wearing 100 hats. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm born and raised in Southern California. I was born in Santa Monica, raised in Simi Valley. So I'm kind of like a Valley girl, and I'm proud of it. I've always been interested into the arts. My family, they very much respect the arts, and they always encourage my brother and I to get involved in the arts. So, from being in plays, singing in the choir, in school, it just kind of was this natural progression. And but for some reason, when it was time for me to go to college, I thought that I had to go and learn how to be a scientist or a mathematician or an engineer or something. So I enrolled in all these classes, immediately hated it, even though I love math and science. I didn't want to do it for a living. So, and I came home super upset, and my mom's like, "What are you doing? You go do what you love. Go try out the theater classes, get involved in art, and see how you do there." And so I was like, and at that point, I never realized that was something you could do or study, but I did it. I immediately went in and enrolled in all the classes, and the rest, as you say, is history, because I got super involved in the theater, and then that led to the next thing, And once I graduated college, I started pursuing it professionally, and here we are.
And we have to hear from Shaina, but we have to also just say that getting to be professionally is no easy feat, but you're on like 3 different shows right now. You're on, I mean, everybody who watches Superstore knows Nikki and how amazing you are on that show. So if you are Superstore fans and you're not in season 5 or 6, hurry up and get there, because that is where Nicole is shining. But you're also on, so tell us about Superstore and Good Trouble and anything else about the shows that you're on currently right now. And then we're going to get to Shaina's response to that question from Christina.
Oh, yeah. Being on Superstore is just a dream come true. They are all so funny and hilarious. And, walking on to a set, or rolling on the set in my case, as a new cast member to a cast that's been working together for 5 or 6 years sounds scary, But that wasn't the case for me. They welcomed me with open arms. They were so funny and warm and friendly. And I just remember on my first day, we were on break in between setups, and we just started singing randomly. I don't even remember why, but we started singing What's Up by the 4 Non Blondes, what's going on? And it's just such a cool feeling to sing like that at the top of your lungs. And I just remember thinking, these are my people. These are my people.
That is so cool. That's so cool. We love Superstore, and so glad to get to be on that. Shaina, what's your response? Christina asks this question every time to our guests, and I always love it. She's always adamant about how you were formed and shaped by your family of origin. So what would you want to share about that?
Yeah, so how I was shaped by my family of origin. So my family are amazing, right? My mom and dad have sacrificed so much to give me the life I have today. In particular, like when I wanted to go to USC, it wasn't in the hometown of Sacramento, right, that I, grew up in. And so my mom had to quit her job and move with me to LA, because it was like I couldn't have 2 homes, right, and be registered for services in 2 places. And if I was going to register in LA, it would have meant like it would have taken a year, possibly more, to get the services I required. And my dad really, like, he stayed in Sacramento, kept the fort down, right? With this whole American dream in mind, right? Because both my parents are immigrants. My mom's from England. My dad's from India. My mom is Indian, though. And they raised us with, no goal is too big, right? You can do anything as long as you set your mind to it. And I'm so thankful that when I switched majors from politics to film, they weren't like, oh my gosh, how could you? And when they heard I wanted to go to USC, they were even more ecstatic because one of the Bollywood stars' sons was going there too. So I still remember my dad like fangirling when he got there.
That's great. You guys have such beautiful, supportive parents. Shout out to parents and grandparents, everyone who supports us. Just speaking for myself, I have quadriplegia. I use a powered chair. You don't just make these things happen on your own. There's such an enormous team of support and love behind you that help you like reach your dreams and goals. So that's really fantastic. I love that you guys have that. So what are the two of you guys doing now that is bringing you guys are doing a lot of collaborations. What is bringing you the most joy in your work in film?
Shaina, you want to go first, or I don't want to talk over you?
Sorry. What is bringing the most joy in my work? Okay, so a current project of mine, which I made Nicole read like 2 weeks ago for her feedback, of course, is a feature film I wrote called Aag, which means fire in Punjabi. And it's a dark comedy about a Punjabi family who confined their daughter to her room because she dared to be born without a foot. But one day they decided to trick a man into an arranged marriage with her by hiding her disability. So while they're planning a wedding, she's actually planning to take revenge. And it's about whether or not her violent yet still tasteful plan will help her move from victim to survivor. And so even though it's a dark comedy, it's very much rooted in truth. And this is what I enjoy most about my work. This is what drives me, right? Like, we are covering a very serious topic because the forced marriage of people with disabilities is a real issue, particularly in the South Asian community. And it's something that I want to shed light with in this film. And so, yeah, that's what brings me joy.
I just want to comment on that real quick before Nicole answers or responds. I just really love that. I mean, you said earlier too, your relationship with Nicole, number one, started through an audition. And I can look back at some of my collaborations that weren't natural, but they came from the entertainment industry. And I think for our viewers and listeners of the podcast later on the replay, this is so important. You just never know who you're going to stumble upon, who's going to be the right person, your creative soulmate. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We should always consider that as we go into every project. Who's going to be who am I going to find chemistry with? I love that. That is so rare. So kudos to you both for doing that. But I also hear you saying, Shaina, that your personal story, you are a person who lives with a disability. You are a person who has Indian descent. You are a person who cares about all these things going on in the world. And obviously that funnels into your storytelling. And sometimes we make it so hard. Like we feel like, I don't know, I don't have anything to say, but it's right there. It's in you. We say at Bravemaker, you are the story. And so I love that is coming through your work. And what an interesting person that you are, an interesting bag, which makes you so unique. And, people hate this sometimes, but it's like, this is a business. And so we need to know who we are. We need to know what makes us unique. That's our brand. So I love that. That's really, really cool. So, hey, if you're just finding us, maybe someone shared this on their social media. My name is Tony Gapastone. We are live here on Friday afternoon with the Bravemaker Show. We're talking to a writer and director, an actor and writer, and we're talking about how they have been braving their way in the industry. And so I'm going to turn it over to Nicole for what makes you find joy in the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I love being an actor. I love what I do. I feel so lucky to be able to be doing it. I love playing characters and figuring out why that character is saying what they're saying, why they're doing what they're doing, why they're wearing what they're wearing. It's the greatest game of pretend ever, and I love it. But, with that said, I find joy also in being an actor with a disability because I feel like I'm adding to the conversation of disability representation and inclusion in the entertainment industry. And I just think back to when I was a little girl and watching TV and movies, I didn't necessarily see myself represented. And it makes me feel good. And I hope that someone out there sees me on the screen, sees my work, and feels represented in that area.
Oh, you're on mute.
Need to see ourselves, right? I love that. We need to be able to see ourselves in media. When we feel seen, someone once said, it's one of the most sacred acts of our lives when we feel seen. I think that's a beautiful mission to have here in this industry.
I love the work that you're doing, Nicole. As former Miss Wheelchair California, definitely Advocacy is the platform for everything that I do, whether it's in film or music or writing. But I'm actually pretty new to the game. So I wasn't born with a disability. I joined the community in 2002 after breaking my neck snowboarding. And it took me a while to kind of find my way. And I really would only consider myself being an active disability advocate in the last 5 years. So when did you know? Because I think maybe people make the assumption if you have a disability, you're a disability advocate. Not the case. When did you decide, you know what, I'm passionate about this. I want to help uplift my community, and this is what I could do. When did you both decide? I'm going to ask this question to both of you. I'm going to change things. I'm going to stir things up, and I'm going to use my talents to do that.
You know, I really feel that the fire was stoked in me when I started hooking up with Shaina. I mean, we really started focusing on films that bring our perspective to the screen. And it's just kind of, once you start, it was a snowball effect. And then I got involved with the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge. And I got involved with other organizations that help promote the authentic representation for disability inclusion. So I would say probably in the last 5 years, it really just snowballed for me.
I love that you're saying it's your collaboration with Shaina, because the person who brought us together has really helped stoke the fire in me for disability advocacy. Christine Burke, our current Miss Wheelchair California 2020. She's fantastic, and I completely understand what you're saying. Sometimes it's a collaboration, like you bring your fires together and it's like an explosion. So that's fantastic. So I turn the question over to you, Shaina. When did you feel that fire inside? You're gonna use your voice.
Yeah, so the fire definitely like got more heated when I met Nicole, right? I was like, I have a partner in this, let's go. But it really started in my undergrad college when I would turn up to class every day and there wouldn't even be a desk that I could sit at, right? I'm a wheelchair user, and it was the only accommodation I actually needed from the university. And so I was shocked that they couldn't even provide me with that. And from there, I was like, if I only need one accommodation and it's not being met, and it's a pretty simple one, imagine what others with disabilities on campus, like what they're going through, right? In order to just receive an education, just like everybody else. And so that's when the fire built in me. I got really angry, tried to do things like through the correct means of, you know, the political way, right? Putting in papers, trying to do petitions, and things just weren't happening. And so then I decided to just make a film. I got a GoPro, I stuck it on my wheelchair. I still have the actual mount on my wheelchair from when I shot that. And then I kept it on for 6 weeks and documented my experiences on campus. I also interviewed other students with disabilities. We made that film, and we made such a huge difference on campus with it.
There's this famous quote, and I'm going to forget who says it, but it's something about like when you understand why you were meant to live, it's what your greatest joy in the world is that meets the world's greatest need. And I think that's a really beautiful thing to consider. Like, what am I really good at? What am I really passionate about? And how does that fit into something in the world that could change it, that could make it better? Mm-hmm. So both of you seeing that and going, well, I could act, I could be a storyteller, I could write, I could direct, I could speak into that space. Just really cool. I love that. But it's not easy. So I'd love you both to just talk about what are some of the obstacles. Obviously, there's a lot of rejection in this business. There's a lot of people telling us no. Shaina, early on, you said you moved from LA and you had to figure out how to get the services that you needed. I was assuming services for your health or services for your family. I wasn't quite sure. But could you talk about the conquering of obstacles in your life and what those have been like to get where you are today, and knowing that we're never fully arrived, right? We're still always going to be having to brave our way through the challenges. But I think those stories are what helps us persevere and other people keep going. How would you respond to that? What obstacles have you had to conquer, and what are you still having to work through at this point?
Nicole, you want to go?
I'm trying to think. You know, I don't know that I would say any one obstacle. I would say the challenge is just to keep the momentum going of everything that I've worked on so far, and keep that ball rolling. That's really my concern, is that I just want to keep the forging ahead and the forward thinking, and not to let anything slip.
Yeah, for me, I have a unique case, so I need a full-time caregiver right wherever I go. And, you know, those were the services that I wasn't going to get in LA unless I dropped my services in my hometown of Sacramento. And I'm just really thankful that I have such a huge unit around me, right, with my family, but even some of my close friends who are willing to step in when needed. And so that's how I conquered that obstacle. But I also graduated from USC, height of the pandemic, in May of last year, right? And I was so scared. Like, I had this filmmaking MFA, and I was like, what am I going to do? But thankfully, you know, my friend and I had a production company that we started together, which Nicole is also a part of. And we just started doing webinar videos and editing, and really, like, you know, those survival instincts just came in. We were flexible, we adapted, and I wrote my feature film on the side, and now the opportunities are coming through. So yeah, I think people with disabilities are so good at being flexible, right? And making opportunities for themselves.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that, that this 2020 has definitely been challenging for all of us. And initially, I was concerned that that the pandemic would slow down the momentum of disability and inclusion. And if anything, I feel like things with like Zoom and panels and everything, that it's shown us what is possible. So I think that, just piggybacking off of what Shaina said, that people with disabilities are so resilient and flexible. And I just think the pandemic's shown us what is possible.
That is fantastic. So we have a lot of actors and people watching who may or may not have disabilities, but I'm an actor with a disability, and I also require almost 24-hour caregiver. And you guys are we're all in industry that is one of the most competitive in the world. Like, and there are a lot of challenges. What do you say to people with disabilities who may feel like they want to act, they want to be in film, but it's just too much? How can you encourage us to keep going and to keep reaching for our dreams?
Oh, yeah. I would say just learn everything you can about the craft. Get involved in organizations, make connections, and meet people. Start watching TV and movies, read Variety, you know, but also make stuff.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, you can totally make things now. Everyone has a smartphone. Technology is very accessible for us. So go ahead and make things, hone your voice as an artist.
Yeah, same thing, right? Like, make things, make videos, make films. And honestly, I'm just going to go a step further. Rebuilt Minds, REBUILT, and then MINDS. It's our production company. And if you want to fill out a form and contact us, like, let's go. Let's build this community, right? Wow. That's what we're here for. And that's Nicole and my passion. Yes. Like, we love finding new talent. We love helping people and building them up.
I can't emphasize that enough. The plight of a creative person often is resources and opportunities. Sometimes we have a lot of talent and we have a lot of hustle. Sometimes, I just told a friend of mine today, talent needs to hustle. Okay? Even if you're really talented, you still need to hustle, because people can out hustle you. And sometimes hustle will beat talent if talent does not hustle. So just because you're good or beautiful or whatever, doesn't mean you can sit back and let it just fall into your lap. You've got to work. And at the same time, there's this idea, I think, for us that the resources and the opportunities are always going to be our biggest challenges, but make your own opportunities. find your own resources. Sometimes the biggest creative boost is the limitation. And I know that seems like, oh, that's so cliche. It should be on a t-shirt or a meme, but it really is. Like when you feel limited, I go, the people who make it in this industry are the people who will find the cracks any single way to get in, and nothing will stop them. And those are the people I want to partner with, right? Because I'm tired of the people who complain and sit on the sidelines and are like, entitled, like, no, bye. I want to work with people who are willing to use their frustrations, to use their limitations and make something wonderful. Those are the stories worth telling, watching, and living.
Absolutely. And there's tons of film challenges out there and writers groups that you can get involved in. So those are opportunities to meet other people and hone your skills.
I love it. I love it. Well, before we get into our final segment, are there any other thoughts? We have people watching live. If you'd like to ask a question, please put a question in the comments. But any other tips or things you want to share about filmmaking or acting or conquering the fears of getting in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, I never thought I'd be in the position that I am in today, right? My dad works for a trucking company. My mom's a paraeducator. We knew nobody in the entertainment industry. And I know so many people who do know people in the entertainment industry now, right? And, that's they had those mentors. And I really didn't. And also needing the 24-hour caregiver, it really seemed like an uphill battle. But the minute I decided I wanted to do something, and the minute I told the people I loved around me, they rallied. And so just don't be afraid to make that decision. Because I think the fear is what prevents us from doing more, right?
Mm-hmm. And I'd also like to say that, your voice matters. You have a story to tell. Get out there and tell it. People want to hear it.
Yes, and yes, and yes. You have a story to tell. Your voice matters. That's like our mantra right there. And Shaina,
Don't be afraid.
That's right. And Shaina just confirming too. Tell people for accountability. Tell people you're going to make a movie. Tell people you're going to be an actor. Just tell people I want to do this and I am doing it, because that I think is one of the very first steps. I have to put things in my calendar. I'm doing a table read. I'm going to write a script. I'm going to, in May or June, film this film. If I don't do that, it's not real. It's just talk, right? As screenwriters, we always talk about actions are what show character. So the character can say they love you, but if they're cheating, they're not really in love with you. So make your actions prove who you are. All right. Well, let's get to one of my favorite times, the Brave Faves.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
All right, everybody, we do this every week. We share our favorite things of the week, and it could be anything, a person, place, a thing, food, whatever. We'll start with Christina. What's your Brave Fave for the week, Christina?
I am in the process of writing my first comic book, hence the King T'Challa. So I'm still showing up in my superhero gear, and I'm having a fantastic time. And I have discovered their hero's journey. Have you guys ever heard of that concept as writers and film lovers? But there's something called the hero's journey, and you have to watch Finding Joe. I'm going to try to read this as fast as possible. This is a message from producer Patrick Hellman. If you haven't seen it, then you are in for a treat. You really are in for a treat. This is hope, courage, and love, all wrapped up in an 80-minute burrito of inspiration. I promise whoever you share this with will thank you. Please share this with as many people as you can. The world needs this message now with maximum love. So I am sending this documentary out to all of you. It is so amazing. Whether you are writing a comic book or a writer or an actor, their hero's journey is real. It's something that we're all going through in our everyday lives. So it's definitely a must-see.
Right on. We'll throw that link in the chat if you're watching us live. If you're listening to the replay, it will be in the podcast show notes. Shaina, what do you got?
Yeah, so Crip Camp, an amazing documentary. It won for the best feature at the International Documentary Association Awards. And I am just so ecstatic for their win. Shout out to Jim and Nicole, the directors, and the whole team for creating an amazing, moving, and really important film.
Bay Area production as well. Yes, that's fantastic. Cricpamp. All right, awesome. It's on Netflix. Check that out. Nicole.
Yeah, I got two. All right. So first is Captain Andrea Hall signing and speaking the Pledge of Allegiance at the inauguration. Beautiful moments. I absolutely love that. And my second is I've been cleaning my house. So I came across an old B-52s album called Cosmic Thing. You know that song, Love Shack Baby. Am I the only one? I'm the only one that's going to sing along right now.
I'm lip syncing. I am lip syncing in TV fashion. I am lip syncing.
So I have been listening to that since I found it. And it's a good throwback.
So good. All right, my brave fave for the week is I can favorite something I haven't even started reading yet, but I'm favoriting Oliver Stone's new book. I just got it from the library, so shout out to my local library. But I listened to him talk about this. He is obviously a pioneer in the film world. You know, so many great films, Scarface and Platoon, Midnight Express. So I am going to jump into his autobiography. And that's one thing that for me has helped me become a filmmaker, is just reading how other people make their movies and how they brave their own way. So that's my thing.
Absolutely.
So, hey, it's been fantastic having all you all watch. Thanks for chiming in, everybody. Christine Burke, who's the other Wheel Queen. Don't forget, Brave Maker has another podcast called Wheel Queens. In fact, we should just make this a crossover episode. We should put this out through the Wheel Queens, and Christina and Christine should do a digesting of everything that Shaina and Nicole.
Yes, Christine, we're doing it.
Absolutely, it's perfect.
All right, well, let me do my final outro to all of you who are watching. You know, Brave Maker exists to elevate brave stories for justice, diversity, and inclusion. We love getting to do this work. We encourage you to go to our website, bravemaker.com, and find out about us. Follow us on all of our pages, Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. BraveMaker.org is our handle. We would appreciate you sharing this on your social media, because we want to support the work of Nicole and Shaina and other great artists and creatives who are braving their way, who are telling their stories. And if you should so happen to want to be generous to us, you can give at bravemaker.com/donate, or you can just use your phone. Type in your text the word Brave Maker to 44321. You'll see it on your screen there. Or if you're listening on the replay on the podcast, it'll be a link in the show notes. But this helps us do this work. This helps us support filmmakers. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we want to grant filmmakers and help documentaries and narrative films, both short and feature length, get out into the world. We've got so many projects right now that we cannot wait to not only develop, but get into production and distribute into the world in 2021 and 2022. We've got some really great announcements coming soon of new projects, as well as our annual Film Fest that we believe is going to be happening in June of 2021. So stay tuned. If you want free movies and you want to stay connected to all that information, go to bravemaker.com/buzz. All right, friends, this has been fantastic. Why don't you end with sharing your social media handles and where people can find you?
Nicole, you go first.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for having us on. You can follow me on Instagram, lifeisshort_. And I'm also on Facebook, Nicole Evans.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone, thank you so much for having us on again. And you can follow me on Instagram at disabled_DESI, Dissy.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Christina Ray Jackson, and that's Ray, W-R-A-Y. And at my website, ChristinaJackson.com.
All right, friends, I'm Tony Gapastone. You can follow us at bravemaker.org, or my name, Gapastion, so like Gapastone in Italian if you want to be really authentic. But we're so glad you were with us today. Thank you, Shaina. Thank you, Nicole. I have a feeling we'll partner again in the future, but stay on so we can chat a little bit after we finish. Christina and I always end with this phrase: brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.